From a mysterious journal to haunting text messages, here are 3 real horror stories from the woods that will make you never enter a cabin again. And now for story number 1. A group of campers found a cabin in the woods and decided to stay there for the night. When they arrived at the cabin, they noticed there was already a journal there. The journal had a lock on it, but one of the guys used his multi-tool to break the lock and get it open. He said the cabin was very secluded and there was no cell service. They went up there to get away from people and just have some quiet time together. He rented a cabin in the woods to stay at during his vacation. Everything was going well until around midnight, when he started hearing footsteps on the roof of the cabin. He assumed it was just some wild animals, so he just went back to sleep. But every night, he heard the same thing, footsteps on the roof. It sounded like someone was walking back and forth on the roof. So he decided to investigate. He grabbed a flashlight and walked onto the roof to look around. He couldn't see anything. There were no animals up there, and there were no trees or anything else that could have made the noise. So he just shrugged it off and went back inside. One night he was awoken to the sound of footsteps on the roof again. He got so fed up that he grabbed a baseball bat and walked onto the roof. As he was standing there, the footsteps started again. He swung the bat and smashed a hole in the roof. Then whatever was up there ran off. When he went up into the attic to check it out, he saw that there was no insulation up there. Whoever was walking around was probably doing it for the last time. However, on the first night they stayed there, his phone started blowing up with text messages, and they weren't from anyone he knew. Subscribe button because it's free, and I only make videos that are about scary things that have happened. So if that's something you're into, then it's a perfect match. Also, if you want more, check out my podcast. Thanks for watching. The text messages were from his friends, asking where he was, and why he didn't answer his phone. But like I said before, they were at a cabin in the middle of nowhere with no signal. So how were these text messages getting sent? They tried to ignore it and just chalked it up to some weird glitch. But then the next day, it happened again. This time, it was his family members, and it said, "Why did you come here? You shouldn't have come here." He called his brother and asked him what he was talking about, to which his brother replied, "I didn't call you. Are you okay? Why aren't you answering your phone?" And then he looked at his phone. It said, "Why did you come here? You shouldn't have come here. Turn around and go home now." He immediately called his parents' house and told them to look on his phone and see if they could track it. They did, and it turns out the phone was still at the cabin. They packed their stuff and got the heck out of there. As soon as they passed the tree line and got cell service again, they started getting text messages from unknown numbers saying, "You can't leave. We have to talk." They ignored them and kept driving. They didn't stop until they were almost home. But then they started getting calls from their friends and family saying, "You need to turn around and come back. We're worried about you." They told them that they were almost home, but their loved ones insisted they come back. It took a lot of convincing, but eventually their friends and family gave up. They have no idea who those people were or why they were trying to contact them through their phones. And when he opened it up, it read, "Don't go past the tree line after dark." But of course, being young and stupid, they didn't listen. One of the girls went to use the outhouse, which was a little ways back into the woods from the cabin. While she was gone, the rest of the group started drinking and smoking around a fire they made outside. They sat by the fire and drank until it was completely dark. Then they all went inside the cabin to sleep. In the morning, they all woke up just fine. Nothing had happened. The girl came back from her trip to the outhouse, and everything seemed normal. However, they all agreed that they were going to leave and go back home. As they were packing up their things, they noticed there was a second journal. They opened it up, and it read, "I knew you wouldn't listen. You shouldn't have come out here. Now I own your souls." They freaked out and ran back to their car. They slammed their foot on the gas and sped away from the cabin. To this day, they have no idea what was in those woods or what that journal meant. But whenever they go camping, they never go past the tree line after dark. And now for story no. 2. A man was staying at a cabin in the woods with his girlfriend. And now for story number 3. A man decided to take a vacation and go camping all by himself. Now it's time to tell me which story was the most terrifying to you. And while you're at it, hit that